Alright, so I'm finally starting to work on the lowering springs for the front. Everything's completely detached down there, so this one. Yeah, so this one broke. Instead of just getting one replacement spring that was stock, I figured I can just lower the whole car. I think I'm lowering it about like 3/4 of an inch. I didn't want to go too crazy just because there's really no point. I don't want to lower it 1.5 inches. Got the lowering springs installed. I'm not even going to show you how I did it just because it was a little on the sketch side. So along with the lowering springs, I also got the new strut mounts because of these studs pointing straight up, you know, like one was sticking that way and then the other one was sticking that way and then, you know, the other direction because the mounts on the car was all mushroomed, but I beat that back down, so it should be good. So whenever you have a mushroom strut mount, you need to fix the sheet metal that's in the engine bay along with replacing this strut mount too. Some progress on the M50 intake. Got the fuel rail modified, just cut off the original brackets for the M54. I'm going to be installing this steering column guiba. I got it for 22 bucks on Garagistic. It goes right here some way or another, so I just need to take this off, put this there, and then that'll be done. This has some play to it, and that's kind of what causes the squishiness whenever you turn. It's more for comfort, not for sport, so that's why this is rubber. Steering wheel looking nice and pretty. It took a little bit of filing, a little bit of drilling. You know, it's a decent fit, but sometimes the head of the bolt it's a little bit too big, so it wedges right here. But you know, you just crank it down enough and it'll see itself in good enough. I mean, for 22 bucks, definitely worth the price. Just because this is no wobble compared to how it was before. This is nothing. The transmission came in today, just a few hours ago. I put them together for a size comparison. Obviously, this is the 6-speed. That's a 5-speed. She's a little dirty on the inside, but gotta use, obviously. Got the transmission ready. Gonna made it to the engine. It's gonna be a bitch, but I'm gonna go for it. It's got my OSHA approved footwear, so let's get her going. Alright, so 6-speed is on. So yeah, a 6-speed from an M3 will fit on a non-M M54. This is 6-speed from E46 M3, so same generation, different engine. It was kind of a bitch to put on, but I still got on my toes, so yeah, I got these left. I take it these two probably go to the starter, and the other three probably go to the oil pan, since these are all the same size. Process of elimination. Hopefully I'm not missing any bolts. That would really suck. Once I have the struts on both sides, then I'll lift up the middle. Okay, so I got the subframe attached to the engine mounts, but the subframe isn't attached to the chassis yet. This is where it attaches, and that's where it needs to go, right there. Alright, great news. I got the engine in, supporting itself, except for the transmission. I managed not to get the correct transmission mount. I thought the non-M would work, but it does not. So I'm waiting on the M3 transmission mount to come in, and it should bolt right in. So I noticed back there where the bolts mount, there's already some pre-drilled holes for the M3 supports. The problem is the transmission is a lot longer, so it sits further back. So I'm hoping that the new mount will fix that issue. If it doesn't, then that blows. Hardest part about this was trying to align these holes. You would think that you could get something like a rod, get in there, wiggle it around, and this will move back and forth, but no. It's just too heavy on the jack that it can't really move at all. So what I ended up doing was moving the rear end of the transmission left and right to align it, and then try to push it back by hand to get the holes aligned. This is the speed sensor from the old subframe, and the speed sensor on the new subframe is a different connection. But what you can do is you can unscrew this Allen bolt right here, screw this one in, and then basically just replace the new speed sensor with the old one, and it should work. So I managed to get the non-M speed sensor on. It kind of sucked. The The sensor was stuck inside of the rotor, or the whatever it was in. So there's the old one. I took the screw out, but the problem is it's just rusted in there with the plastic and the metal. So on the other side I managed to snap that off, and there's a solid chunk of plastic stuck inside. I didn't record doing that because I was really pissed, but I got it out and it's in. What I did was I drilled out a whole bunch of holes and just hammered a screwdriver in there, pried it out, picked it out with some pliers, and eventually it worked. So hopefully I'm gonna be a little bit more careful on this side. That did not work. Here's the remnants of the speed sensor. This was the big chunk I managed to pull out. And I got a new one of these rod shifter bushings. So here's the new one. I got it attached to the shifter right now. This yellow padding is really tough, so it's really hard to compress it on this linkage right there. So I managed to hook up all the linkages on the other side, and now it is in. Only problem is it doesn't seem to go into second. I think I just need to adjust the shifter itself right here. I should be able to just push it forward, but it's not. I have to put it to the left a little bit. I got the shifter adjusted. It was pretty easy. There's just one 5mm Allen key bolt way down under there. Just remove this, you know, take all this off. It's pretty easy. The trim is easy to remove. Straight up is third, straight down is fourth, and then everything around that is perfectly aligned. So fifth, sixth. Huge progress. Engine in, manifold is almost in. I just need to bolt it down. Oil catch can. I don't know if I showed this already, but this is the final mounting position. It's pretty nice. I just hooked up the battery. Lights came on. So I'm gonna go in, turn the key, see what happens.